What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our guest joining us, Mr. Freemz, twitch.tv/Freemz. What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Living the dream, as they say.
Freemz living the dream.
Yeah, man.
The American
Freemz.
And the American Freemz.
I'm on month 3 of no politics on my stream. We switched it up.
Wow.
Nice.
So, came in my stream in the past, I've been around the Tavern for a while, and you're like, you stop by and you're like, I don't know about this politics stuff. We don't do it anymore. So give us another shot,
What prompted that, Freemz? You just tired of it, or was there something that prompted it?
So I had to take a month break off from streaming to finish my classes, and the amount of it was just very cathartic not being in it. I was like, I should just quit streaming. I'm like, it's not the streaming that's the problem, it's the politics. So I quit doing politics, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, that would weigh on you, I feel like, if that's all you were talking about for a while.
It's just fake. It's all fakes. It's like drama. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people are just trying to monetize others suffering, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty lame.
Let's go. What do you guys talk about now?
We do a lot of games. I do a lot of indie games. I've been really big in the indie games. I do an hour of just chatting. We talk about music, wrestling, sports, just whatever comes up, whatever I got going on. We drink a lot. And then, I'm known as
Tom on there.
Known as having the biggest brain.
The wrinkliest brain?
The biggest member, but you know what else? I would say even an even bigger heart,
Big brain, big member, even bigger heart.
Bigger heart.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt right there.
That's definitely.
I'll get on the Photoshop. You guys can have it to the Tavern.
That's a t-shirt for sure.
Big brain, big member, even bigger heart.
Even bigger heart. Oh man, well, it's good to have you back on. I know me and you haven't streamed together for a while. We haven't done a show for a while, so it's good to be back on with you.
I hope I don't hurt your little snowflake feelings this time.
Yeah, well, it's everybody's feeling.
Don't get melted by my Latino heat. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, you are the only guest that we've had that's been happy that Eddie Guerrero's dead. So
go back in the archives and find that one, guys.
Let's just not give them any context and let them make up their own mind.
Dude, it blew my mind to hear that somebody's happy.
I'm trying so hard not to give context. What's going on? You're making it so much harder.
Yeah, dude, yeah, they definitely need to go. I forget which episode it was, but find Freemz in the archives and
Sneed lies, cheats, and steals.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
Yeah, I thought Eddie was great. Well, if you guys are ready, I mean, we have 3 new topics to get into.
Let's do it.
Want to do it? All right.
Yeah.
All right. First topic of the evening. AEW Stadium Show, the All In, over or under 55,000 at Wembley.
Wow. That's like the perfect number to put this at. Chad, you had to set this.
That's a great number. It's a great number.
If you did 30, I feel like it's a little easier. If you did 70 or 80, it's a little easier. But 55 is right in that sweet spot.
So we're looking at 90,000 capacity. But after stage and all of this setup, we're probably looking at 75,
depending on how they build it out.
Yeah.
Like if they're trying to do full max, I feel like they could get into the 80s. But if they're
I'll add floor too. I'll add floor seats.
Yeah, the floor seats add seats too. Oh man, I'm gonna say over because we're not gonna know how many they give away. So I bet they're gonna wind up giving away promotional tickets, and it's gonna wind up looking like more than it actually is to people.
But how many tickets can you fucking give away to make a major? Yeah, I'm not counting like bot giving away. I'm talking when they put the number on the screen of how many people are in that arena. What's the attendance?
I'm saying over 55. It's going to be their first big event there, their first event there. These people are clamoring for it. I'm going with the over.
Go ahead. Sorry.
This is like the biggest wrestling event since SummerSlam back in, what was it, 98? What year was that?
92.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think this is going to be huge for them. I'm going to go on the up and say over.
So I didn't give this deep thought when I heard the topic, and in my head I was like, nah, it's not whenever 55. But the more I think about how AEW is good at using international talent and how that probably brings them a lot of eyes, I'm gonna say over. It's gonna be hard, and we don't even know we don't even know everything that's gonna be booked there yet. It could be.
I know
there's nothing in the books for it, so. But I'm gonna say over 55 as well, and that's actually the point that I was thinking about is the use of their international talent. Now I know reports have come out and said that right now around 30,000 people have at least showed interest in tickets.
Yeah, last I heard a couple days ago was like 25 had already registered for the pre-sale.
So, with it being, the first event, I know the Khan family is very well liked in that area. And I know AEW has a very strong following in that area. If I'm not mistaken, a stronger following than what WWE has.
Yeah, they have a better TV. I'll say maybe not following's maybe the wrong word, but they pull a higher television rating in the UK than WWE. But if you drill down in that, some of the detractors of that say it's because they have a better TV deal that hits more people, but who knows?
But I'm going over.
You know what I think would be an awesome match to book for that? And because we've seen Kenny Omega versus Ospreay plenty of times, right?
Well,
how cool would that be if they swung an extra triple threat match? Kenny, Ospreay, Okada, triple threat, Wembley. It's going to be over over 55K. That's a mega show. I think you get Americans flying over for that.
I'm gonna say under.
Really?
I'm gonna say between 50 and 55K is where I think they'll hit. And I hope I'm wrong. And I'm kind of saying that as a challenge to Tony Khan. Because right now, I don't think he has the balls to book the match that will fill this stadium.
Yeah.
If he has the balls to make Young Bucks, Kenny Omega versus FTR and CM Punk, I think you go well over 55K, but I don't think they can do business and do the best decision for the fans and make that happen. So because of that, look, I love Ospreay. I love all the New Japan guys, Okada, all of that. But is that enough? You know what I mean? Like Tokyo Dome, are they pulling those type of numbers with those guys? Like you're going to have to not only have a huge match at the top of your card that makes people want to go, but it's going to have to be a good card top to bottom. And it can't just be built on dream matches, man. You got to have people invested into one of these stories. And if you want to get a crowd invested where it's like, I want to put down my money to fly overseas to see this match. If you want people to invest in a story like that, it's got to be the Elite versus Punk and FTR.
And I knew we were going to get to that match. I knew we were going to talk about that. So obviously that's the headlines. That's what everyone, especially Dax is so good at stoking the flames of the internet.
Dude. I love Dax.
He's just over the internet like a blacksmith of
he's great.
Rumors and or as they would say, rumor and innuendo, as old Pritchard would say. But that's Dax. I'd love to, but I'm just talking about the match, the triple threat match I was talking about, and it's not seen anywhere. It's just something I was thinking. That wouldn't pull. It would pull very well to Tokyo Dome, not 55K. But the reason why it wouldn't is because they see those dudes wrestle each other there. They don't see that in the UK.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
this is the first time that they've been able to see an AEW event live.
That's what they have going for them.
Yeah.
The most is that when you think about just in the state, and I think me and Ace talked about this on Wrestling Tonight, when you think about when they first went to New York, it popped a huge rating because you're entering a market for the first time. So for a big company who's popular in the UK to be coming to the UK, this isn't their first pay-per-view. This is their first show, period there. I think that alone is why they're getting like 30,000 fans to sign up for the pre-sale.
Right. These fans have never had a chance to see these wrestlers live. And there's something to be said about actually going to a live event. I think that's a big deal.
I mean, I think
especially at Wembley.
You put Punk, FTR, and the Elite at the top, or I don't think it even has to be the 6-man. It could be FTR versus the Bucks and Punk versus Omega, and then you throw in like Danielson Okada or Danielson Zack Sabre Jr., and then throw Will Ospreay in there against somebody. Like, I don't want them to overload the card with guys outside of the company. I think if this is your first stadium show, feature your AEW talent.
I feel like you got to go ahead. Sorry.
No, but throwing in like Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. to me makes sense because they're UK guys and they have a big following. And an Okada, why wouldn't you do that if you had the opportunity?
And not only are they UK guys, you're giving them a chance because they've seen those guys. They haven't seen them wrestle the talent that they're watching on TV that they'd like to see. You know what I mean? So like,
right,
Ospreay or Sabre Jr. versus like New Japan guys or AEW guys or.
Yeah, because you're getting Danielson, Mox, all these big names from other places. Plus, now you're getting MJF, Darby, all these AEW guys they haven't seen. It's going to be, you know what? It might be a really awesome event. I'm looking forward to it. I love that stadium atmosphere once in a while. Like, you think back to watching that SummerSlam and how awesome it felt watching like how big the crowd was. It's going to be a special moment for AEW no matter what happens.
Huge.
You put that match on the end and you include Punk in that and you build that story up to there. Holy smokes. Maybe you have the 6-man tag there, and then, the following week they're saying All Out is still following. Then we get Omega and Punk straight up one-on-one.
Dude, I think it's just exciting and I hate these people that are like trying to, they're almost wishing failure on AEW. Every wrestling fan, no matter if you watch the product or not, you should want them to succeed. But I'm looking forward to just seeing what their version of a stadium show is versus the way Mania is put on. So it's like, what's the stage going to look like? How much love and care are they putting on their stadium and their lights and all of the packages with that? My question to you guys, what is a success and what is a failure? Like, what is a number that you would say, man, they didn't hit the mark, and what is a number? Because as of right now, the biggest number they hit was at Arthur Ashe. I think it was a little over 20K is what they've done. That's their biggest show.
I feel
this. I think it's got to be 50,000 plus. Like 30,000 feels like a failure. 30,000 in a stadium like this is going to look empty. That's where it'll feel like a failure.
Nah, they'll make it work. I think 30,000, anything above 30,000 is a success.
I was going to say 25 and under would be what I would consider a failure. 30 and above would be successful to me.
I would say 30 and under is a failure. Like if you can't get 10 more thousand, but I would say 30 to 50 is kind of,
right. I think 30 to 50, but I honestly don't think that there's going to be a problem getting them to 50,000. I don't think that's
we got a dog in here. We got a dog in here.
Got to run in.
But just to add to what you were saying, Tom, if it's 30,000 people, There's people up in the hot seats. They'll start pushing them down.
Yeah,
And
that's
the camera angle won't even
Yeah,
go up there.
they would adjust it to
Yeah,
where
they're
it
not
would
going to let
work.
these people be
yeah.
sprinkled up around the
Right,
bowl.
right.
Yeah,
Now,
They come.
that's just success in terms of ticket sales. I think I'm curious to see if they can live up to the hype. That's what I want. I want it to feel big. Mania feels big. Here's an example. I was just telling you guys before we started, I went to an esports event, right? And I
Right.
wasn't expecting it to be as cool as it was, but the pageantry was there. You know what I mean? And the wrestling fan in me loved it. There's like fireworks blowing up everywhere in the stadium, and it made it cooler than like you think this is some guys playing video games in a stadium.
I've got a
But
pit bull on my shoulder right now.
we've got to run in.
I love it.
I just want it to feel special.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Look at how the Arthur Ashe shows look on TV with that ramp with the LED screen on the ramp.
Yeah.
Like that looks amazing. So
And that's 20K.
exactly.
So you got to get you. It has to be much bigger than that.
So I think it will be bigger. I think, like I said, they make the Arthur Ashe show look different. I think this show is going to look special.
well, I think a big thing too is their fan base. The fans over there are insane.
That's what I'm looking forward to is the fan reaction because this is the first time you're seeing the product in the country. We saw how those fans were at Clash at the Castle. They were the highlight of that night was the fan reaction.
Yeah.
Singing and
Yeah, the soccer chants and all of that. It'll be great. What do you think AEW views as a success? What do you think they want to? What do they truly think they can do? Because
the cons, they want money. So
with Tony Khan too, he's a numbers guy. So you got to think he's crunched the numbers and he thinks he can get X amount in there. What do you think the X amount he thinks he can get in there?
60,000.
I'm thinking 60 to 70
I'd
is
say
what they're
60.
wanting.
60 at a low end is what Tony wants.
yeah. They better make it special because you can get 70,000 people there. But if you can make them come back, that's the real.
This
That's the
is your
difference.
first impression.
Yeah.
This is your first impression, not only for the market, but for the entire world buying this if it's a pay-per-view, they haven't even announced. It might be, some people are saying this is what's going to launch the HBO Max streaming service.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Great.
I don't know, man. I know I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah, it's
My
exciting.
expectations are high. I don't want to be let down, but I don't think I'm going to be let down. So that means when I get let down, I'll be very upset. But
We all just assumed this was going to be a pay-per-view, and then I think it was that came out and tweeted that no, All Out is still the following week in Chicago.
Anthony Bowens.
Anthony Bowens tweeted that out. So like, man, this it's going to be 2 back-to-back awesome weeks for AEW. This could be.
I want to say, isn't it like Discovery Plus and HBO Max are merging, and around the time they're merging is this time frame, and people think that AEW is going to go almost like WWE on Peacock, but with HBO Max.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I've gotten several surveys from HBO Max over the last year asking me about my interest in AEW. So
Really?
yes.
That's interesting.
Fucking Tom and his surveys.
You are the survey king.
He always
dude.
gets these insider WWE surveys, and
This survey.
I love it.
Survey king.
When I saw that, I'm like, this is interesting. They're actually asking about this. There's definitely something in the works here.
That is interesting.
I mean, you want people to sign up for your service, do your AEW's first ever stadium show. That's a good way to do it.
You put the whole
No
back
doubt.
catalog of AEW on there too.
All the Ring of Honor. I
Yeah.
mean, absorb Honor Club into that.
Let's go. Let's
I
do
can
it.
tell you what, I would be all in on that.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Need.
All right. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
I'm bringing it on. I'm ready to see what they do.
Yep. All right, guys. Next topic of the evening. Has Tony Khan's Ring of Honor met or exceeded your expectations? Now, Freemz, this is your topic that you brought to the table, so I'll defer to you to go first.
okay, man, I'm gonna make a lot of people mad because I'm like the known as a Ring of Honor guy, right? It's good. I like watching it. It's good. I've finally been trying to catch up on some of it. It made me realize my expectations are unrealistic. Is what it did. I feel like I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it because I enjoy watching AEW. It feels like an AEW product. I think GZW has more of the soul of Ring of Honor than Ring of Honor does. And yeah, again, it's good. It's great. And I'm glad they use the belts. And there's a lot of that tradition that still comes through. But it just doesn't feel like Ring of Honor to me anymore. I guess just because it's so polished and everything. And it's great. I'm glad it exists. But it has made me realize that, like, I don't think my expectations were ever going to get met. Because their goal is to make it bigger than what I was expecting it to be. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense. I'm just wondering, is it really fair to hope that it would be exactly the same thing as what the original Ring of Honor was?
Yeah, that's kind of the point I'm making, I think. Like, it made me, like, my expectations were
Too high.
Yeah. I don't even know if is it even a too high thing, just different.
Yeah, different.
Right.
It's not. I'm not going to say that it's bad. It's just different than what I expected. It's good, and they showcase some good wrestling. But does it not just feel like an extension of AEW to you guys when you watch it?
I think it does. I agree with you with that. I think it is an extension, and you know what? But it is. So why should they hide that? Really? You know, it's the same.
An extension in what way? Just talent or production? Because talent, I can see. Yeah, it's got a little AEW flavor, but I don't think it looks like AEW.
It looks more like AEW than it does Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's a bad thing either. So, like,
yeah, and Ring of Honor was a little stripped down. You know, for sure. Yeah, like the lighting wasn't. I don't think you could do some of the stuff Ring of Honor did.
I think when I watch it. As I'm watching it, I don't sit and feel like, yeah, this is what Ring of Honor would have became had it not been bought by AEW, or had it had just been like continuing to make money but not gotten shut down. You know,
to me, it feels like Ring of Honor with money.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like that's what it feels like. It feels like they've got someone who's honed wrestling production over the last 4 years, has bought this company, and you know, because let's be honest, the guys who were running. I'm not talking about Sinclair. I'm talking about, you know, Kerry and all those guys. They didn't have the money to elevate the production of it.
Yeah. So I think another thing, one of the things, and I've realized about watching it, it feels like AEW's NXT almost, even though they have more of the AEW guys there. The reason why I think is because it's a studio set, and the people there, like that's probably the same people. They go every week, where Ring of Honor was like hardcore wrestling fans from like all over.
I think that's that to me is a victim of it being a new company, and they're not touring yet. If they start touring in some of the smaller venues that Ring of Honor was touring in, it'll bring about a whole new vibe.
Yeah,
but you can't overextend yourself. You're giving these guys an opportunity to wrestle. For me, did it meet or exceed my expectations? It's met my expectations. It didn't exceed it. To be honest, I didn't expect a whole lot from this.
Yeah.
All I was wanting was a place to separate the talent. And I feel like they have done a good job of separating the talent, because Ring of Honor isn't showing up like 3, 4, 5 segments a night on Dynamite. That's what I was getting a problem with.
Yeah.
The fact that they have a place to tell their stories. And dude, the Eddie Kingston, Claudio, that was great.
I will say that's giving me hope, stuff like that. Them getting their own storylines within the show, making it feel a lot better. Like, and
they're honoring the past. I mean, we have the Righteous show up with Vincent. Like, there's things that I like, but I didn't. I'm honestly shocked they're honoring the history, the stuff with the Briscoes, the Reach for the Sky tournament, all of that. Like,
yeah,
because I didn't expect a whole lot from it. I was worried that it would be like dark. You know, like just no storylines, not a lot of effort put into it, but I feel like they've done a good job with it.
Hey, Freemz, I got a question for you then. So do you feel like this is like, for you, is this like when WWE took over ECW?
ECW? Nah, it's a little different, I think, than that. A little bit. A lot different. I think they kind of made those guys look weak, or Some of them, some of the guys they carried on. I don't know. I feel like I'm being very critical right now because we're on a debate show. I think the show is really good. It is very good.
No, but I totally get your point, though. You were preaching Ring of Honor to me when we were at the tattoo shop 6-7 years ago. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I think the big difference, Sneed, if you were to ask me that, is AEW taking over ROH the same as WWE taking over ECW? The big difference for me there is Tony Khan is a fan of Ring of Honor. Vince was not a fan of ECW.
That's a very good point. Yeah. I think another thing too, it's just like a personal thing maybe with me where, I mean, you two have known me for a long time. I'm very like punk rock ethos, DIY. Like I love all that stuff.
Yep.
And to me, Ring of Honor was always like the punk rock of wrestling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that.
Especially when ECW folded. When ECW folded, Ring of Honor was that.
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like GCW has filled that void for me more than Ring of Honor has.
Yeah, they're the punk rock DIY. Yeah, for sure.
I like DPW a lot too. Like a lot of those, they're great. So
I feel like GCW has kind of taken that punk rock ECW vibe, and they're carrying that torch. And Ring of Honor is like carrying that. Let's just think about the wrestling. This is just bell to bell. This isn't, we're not telling sports entertainment here. It's bell to bell stories.
Yeah, it's met my expectations for sure. I didn't put high expectations on it, but just because I didn't know what to think about it going in and how it was going to fall with a TV show. I agree with you. We were getting a lot of stuff on Dynamite, and that was starting to kind of wear on me a little bit. But now that they have their own show, and Tony Khan being a fan and honoring watching the Reach for the Sky, having Mark Briscoe involved, the Pure Championship, keeping all the traditions that they have, I think that's a big deal.
I was going to add that. I'm glad they kept the Pure Championship. That's really good. And I'm glad they talk about like the Code of Honor and like all that stuff. All the traditions are there, which is super cool. I'm glad it exists because Ring of Honor is not going to get lost to time. The network's going to be able to.
The history is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it might be in an early growing period where, hey, it's kind of under new ownership. It's only about a year old. Like I get that. Like, but it's there. It could have easily went away. And I got to be honest, man, like I think what we're getting right now from Tony Khan is light years better than what Sinclair was giving us. Like the Sinclair years of ROH, when you would turn on your TV at 3:00 in the morning and it said Ring of Honor was on and it was some like high school basketball game. Like, dude, Sinclair.
The Ring of Honor show that Sinclair is putting out too. I don't know if people realize that footage isn't one show.
Right.
That's
it was
like
just
matches they took from several shows. So,
yeah, you couldn't follow it. So now you can sit down every week, watch the episode and track the stories. So that instantly has me more interested.
So yeah, it's definitely cool. I also I want more Dalton Castle on my TV.
Yeah. Me too.
You and Hawk.
Yeah.
Dalton Castle's they're the best. He should be on every episode. He shouldn't be on AEW losing the Blackpool Combat Club. He needs to be on Ring of Honor winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad he gets on AEW. That's cool for him,
But if you're not going to serve him a purpose other than to job to somebody, keep him in Ring of Honor. Get other.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with that.
Don't ever start from another company doing that on your other show. Like, what is the purpose of that?
What's the next step? What's the next step for Ring of Honor to improve upon what they're doing?
I think touring.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I think it's getting them out behind a paywall so anybody can watch it.
Well,
how are you
the internet?
Going to build fans if you're behind a paywall that's just really being put out to the fans who are already there? You've got to try and build new fans. You're not going to do that behind a paywall.
Okay, Tom, I got a question for you though. We are in the age of streaming.
Yep.
Not a lot of people that watch. I'd say the Ring of Honor hardcore fan base probably are cable cutters. They're probably not paying for a cable.
Ring of Honor, if you're a real Ring of Honor fan, it's always been behind a paywall.
So
I have a giant FedEx box full of DVDs to prove that.
Yeah. So my question would be, if Ring of Honor, would Ring of Honor going to say an HBO Max with an AEW streaming deal? Is that sufficient enough, or do they have to be on cable television?
I don't think they have to be on cable television, but how about a week after it's on the Honor Club, put it up on YouTube? Then more people can discover it. More people who, we heard about this great match. Somebody who's not going to pay for it might check it out if it's free on YouTube.
The way Ring of Honor did it in the past, they would put one match from an event on YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah, putting the whole event, then you're getting into like Billy Corgan NWA territory where they tried to do that deal on Fight TV, and then like they would air it on a day, and then 4 or 5 days later they would air it on YouTube, and I feel like it kind of hurt their bottom line.
Maybe just edit a half-hour compact episode of it and show highlights with one full match or something to keep people up to date.
Yeah, I don't know, because I get it. They have to have incentive to. If they can't sell the show, they're not going to make the show.
I think being on a renowned streaming platform would be better for them than being on cable TV.
So if they bring a streaming platform to like an HBO Max, like you're talking about, that a lot of people have HBO Max. I don't even know how I have it. I don't even know how I have it, but I have it.
It comes on my DirecTV.
It's people who are watching wrestling on HBO Max are going to see those Ring of Honor pop-ups.
Yeah,
they're going to watch it. I mean, it just
especially
if they have old stuff and it's like Kevin Steen versus, you know what I mean, like ex-WWE.
I hope AEW and Ring of Honor go to like a HBO Max, because I would not pay for cable TV to watch wrestling.
Yeah. I've totally paid for Ring of Honor every time I've watched it since they started the new one. Not lying at all.
Cable's too expensive anymore, man.
Yeah,
unless you're a sports fan who likes to watch, NFL, basketball, all of that stuff. Like
even that's all online now. There's ways to watch.
That you can get. I know YouTube TV's they have NFL Sunday Ticket this year.
You can buy a Sunday Ticket on NFL's website for individual teams.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I have DirecTV, and about 3 months ago, I called up and complained because my bill was $200. I'm like, listen, I could go get a streaming service. They cut me down to $90 a month just to stay with them.
I did that for like 10 years. Yeah. Every year I would call them bitch, and they'd drop my bill, and I'd get another year out of it. And I just got sick of paying. I was still paying too much.
Yeah, fuck DirecTV.
I haven't had cable or satellite since 2016.
That's probably around the time I cut too.
Yeah, I haven't looked back. I don't miss it.
But here's the thing with all the sports streaming online, they got to stop the local blackouts and let everybody get it. So if you don't have it and I want to watch Yankee games, like if I got rid of my DirecTV, I couldn't watch Yankee games here because
message me off stream. I'll help you watch Yankee games.
All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move to the final topic?
Ring of Honor, do better. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. It's good. It is good.
Can we get that audio drop, Sneed, of him just saying Ring of Honor, do better?
Yeah, I can pull it. Yep. Actually, probably should pull that. I'm going to start pulling Freemz clips because I'm going to go back and pull where he said he hated Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, I'm going to pull that.
Yeah.
He hates the current Ring of Honor, and he's glad Eddie Guerrero's dead. This is the guy we're dealing with here.
We're building a crazy reputation for Freemz.
I'm not saying I'm glad Eddie Guerrero's dead, but I will say Rey Mysterio is the best person to ever come out to that theme song.
Oh, well, he did make it look good at 39, man.
Yeah,
he did.
Yep. All right, guys, we'll move on to the final topic. Final topic of the evening. Would you sacrifice match quality for story if it brought a new boom? Period. Now
let's lay this out. I'm going to explain this. Essentially, if you think about the Attitude Era and you tuned into a Monday Night Raw, 90% of those matches was dog shit.
Yes.
I mean, most of them. We're not talking like it wasn't a bunch of Kurt Angle matches all night. Those were terrible. There was a lot of like screw job finishes, and it was the top of the card. They would have some good matches here and there. So essentially now we're getting, I feel like, banger matches, man. They put on these phenomenal matches, but the story isn't there. as much. So would you would you have just 2-minute squash matches filling an episode of Dynamite and filling an episode of Raw and SmackDown, but wrestling was more popular than it's ever been since the Attitude Era?
Hell yes. Look at this. Let me talk about an example. You had Hogan and Andre with a great friggin' story and a great build-up. All the people cared about was seeing Hogan slam Andre. That match wasn't close to 5 stars. But that place was lit for the story. That was an amazing match just for what it told. So hell yes, any day. I mean, not every match. Like you had Steamboat and Savage on that card as well. That was an amazing match. But for some story, absolutely. You give me that soap opera that's going to get more people to come in every week, I would absolutely do it.
Fuck no.
Freemz is
I've watched
shit over here.
I've watched Andre versus
All the love right now. Why is he still red?
Because of you.
You've pissed him off. Look.
I've watched Andre versus Hogan once. I've watched Omega versus Okada like 10 times. Like that's the reason I like AEW. That's the reason I watched Ring of Honor. And that's the reason I don't really watch WWE. I want good matches. I don't think you have to you don't have to sacrifice good matches. If you have to do it, then you're doing it wrong. I think the Attitude Era, the bad wrestling, there was also bad storylines too. Like the Attitude Era kind of sucks ass if you go and watch. Like the good is really good and makes it worth it, but the bad wrestling isn't what uplifted all that other stuff.
There's great elements to it, but people are definitely looking with rose-colored glasses back on that era.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a lot of dog shit.
A lot of dog shit.
And I never realized it because I was a child, so I wouldn't realize it. I used to think Glacier was cool. So no, I wouldn't. Just if like match qualities and a company starts dropping, even if the story is great, I'm going to quit watching.
I think I've went on record and said this before that my favorite era of pro wrestling is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Squash matches are okay, by the way. I want to add that.
No, I don't mind.
That can be a good element.
It's a good tool.
Yeah.
But I just think people look at pro, and I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. A lot of people lean on this nostalgia, man. And if you go back and watch this, if you weren't nostalgic for that, there's a lot of that stuff that's trash. Like, I'm not talking about the big people that we love and the big storylines that were great. I'm talking about sitting down and watching a 2-hour episode of Name the Wrestling Show.
Yeah.
Those aren't like barn burner episodes. Like, there's a lot of just bad shit in there. And I think that's just wrestling in general. I think wrestling like today is the same way, but there is no way in hell I would sacrifice matches to go back to that type of boom period.
I think a good example is looking at some of the Attitude Era. Let's take Stone Cold, for example. Some of the best storylines ever. I've been showing my non-wrestling friends. They've been watching a lot of wrestling with me. We went through watched a lot of Stone Cold shit. They watched a lot of his shit. But the fact that he was such a badass in the ring, like that brawler style that he brought, that made his persona off, storyline and out of the ring work. It was great.
I really think, and I know people will cook me for this. The whole, no, man, it was so good. It was so good back then. I don't think like all of this wrestling back then is so good. Like, I just don't. I mean, we all grew up loving it. I love it. But it's not like I look at the Hogan Andre shit or the Stone Cold Rock shit and I'm thinking, man, that is so light years ahead of what we're doing right now. To me, it's just about the same. Some of the storylines are better. Some of the storylines are a lot worse. It's just pro wrestling. It's just what it is. Tom, I have to ask you though.
Yeah.
You said yes, you would sacrifice it. I
think he said hell yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excitedly.
If we got let me think. Who's a big guy?
Like physically
Brock?
big?
Yeah, Brock,
Yeah, Brock.
Morrissey.
one of the big guys, and you told the exact same Hogan Andre story. And you get to All In Stadium show, or you get to WrestleMania 42 or whatever it is, and that's the match you get after this year-long buildup. In the current state of how pro wrestling is right now, you would be happy with that?
Yeah.
No.
The answer's
People
no.
would revolt. That is a great moment for pro wrestling as far as Hogan slamming Andre. Everyone talks about it. When you go back and look at that match was all about the spectacle. That match sucked.
That's what I was saying. I agree with that 100%. That match.
So
But I think today you can't just get away with all of this buildup and the payoff being purely a spectacle moment. I feel like in today's climate with the fans, if you were to give us that payoff, they would fucking roast you.
I want to say this real quick, just for anyone tries to cook Chad over the nostalgia rose-colored glasses comments. I pulled up a random Monday Night Raw from 1996. Listen to these matches: Skip and Zip versus Barry Horowitz and Aldo Montoya. The Ringmaster versus Marty Jannetty, which fun, The Undertaker versus Tatanka.
There's, you know what I don't understand, and I think Seth and Sheena and I've heard Sam Roberts even say it. There is this new kind of nostalgia for, and I never heard anyone talk about it like this, but now like the new cool thing I shouldn't say the new cool thing, but the new thing that people are really like nostalgic for is the new gen era. Bret Hart with the occupational gimmicks and the doinks and Bret Hart's reign and Shawn Michaels coming up, Diesel and all that. I fucking hate that era, man.
It's
I hate that era.
I hate
it.
I don't
it's
understand
cool
it.
in the same way a starter jacket is cool. Like it's like it makes for a cool T-shirt.
I mean, I love Bret Hart too. Like he's the shining ray of hope in that era, but everything else, dude, I hated Diesel. Never liked Diesel. Nash was cool, but I was never a Diesel guy.
Yeah.
I just don't like that era.
Mantar versus Man Mountain Rock.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. When I hear the people like Sam Roberts say it, I'm like, you must have watched something different than I did because I just can't.
Razor Ramon defeated Goldust for the Intercontinental Championship.
Like when I think of like Mania 9 at Caesar's Palace with like Crush and Doink, I'm just like, what the
Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez.
The wrestling outside of Brett, the wrestling is garbage.
Yeah.
Like it's just match quality. The aesthetic for me is like vomit inducing. The big bright colors and it was so kiddie for me. I couldn't do it. Like that's why when I really, really, really fell in love with wrestling hard was just the abrupt change that 96 WCW brought, because it felt different and a little more real and gritty.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely would.
Was a big page turner too for WWE.
Yeah, he brought me back to WWE Hardcore was Steve.
You mean the Ringmaster?
The Ringmaster. Stone Company. The Ringmaster versus Marty Jannetty does not sound nearly as cool as Stone Cold versus Marty Jannetty.
This is a tough question for me because I'm a story guy.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer story over. I mean, epic matches are awesome, but an epic match without good story behind it is kind of like empty to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I want both. I feel like you have to have both.
a good story makes the match better.
100%.
It does.
Yeah, but I don't think if you're having to sacrifice match quality for story, then make a TV show, not a wrestling show.
I'm with you. It has to flow together. You can't, like Tom, when I rebutted what you said, like I feel like you can't have this great story and then have just a wet fart of an ending match, but you can't have no story and have this epic 30-minute 5-star classic. Like you have to have a little bit of both.
I want to add something else to what we were talking about with Andre the Giant and Hogan, just to add to that whole thing. Another big difference between then and now is kayfabe still existed then, and a lot of people thought wrestling was real. So
Very, very true.
It's a great point, Freemz.
Good point.
Yeah.
It was much different back then than it is
So
today.
like Hogan not being able to lift him for so and then doing it, it's a much bigger deal because people thought it was real.
That's
Way more people were bought in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a great point.
All right, guys.
What'd you think, Steve? Did you comment on it? What would you?
Definitely not sacrificing match quality. I can't imagine going back to a period where, you know, Kaientai's running over WWE.
choppy PP.
Yeah, I can't imagine going back to that. And that's the era that, you know, when I thought about this question, because it was a hard question. I'm a story guy too. We talk about story all the time.
Story is important,
especially with like GCW, because I thought about them a lot with this question.
I love GC, but no, not a lot of story.
Not a lot of story. But if they did incorporate story, would I like GCW more?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But if I have to sacrifice their match quality to do so, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Here's the other difference
I
between
would rather have 4-star matches and great stories than 5-star matches in their story.
100%.
Yep.
that's sacrificing a whole star then.
Yeah.
But compared to,
What
so,
fuck-
but I'm comparing it to like old WWF where it's like 2-star matches and
Yeah.
let's
not that great of story. Most of the good stories, it was because it had great matches with it.
But let's be honest. When you look at the quality of overall wrestlers today, because back then we had our Flairs, we had our Steamboats. Overall, the wrestlers are much better today.
They're way more athletic, way more in shape. Yeah.
It's like you're not really going to get the Hogan Andre thing again because, you know, the guys are better and they know how to put on a better match. Plus, you have these veterans producing their matches.
I don't know what point you're trying to make with this.
That there's a lot better matches throughout a whole card today than there was back then.
No, well, yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I agree.
Of course it is.
That's good. I'm saying I wouldn't want to sacrifice that for the sake of story.
But Tom does. Tom wants to get rid of that.
But I agree with Freemz. I would take the 4-star match
Tom's glad Eddie
or
Guerrero
a
died.
5-star match. I never said that.
Let's
No, I mean, I would take.
let's see Orange Cassidy slam Lance Archer.
There you go.
There we go.
Hold up. They come out on Britt Baker's talk show.
yeah. Snatches the chain off of Archer or off Orange Cassidy. Rips his sunglasses off.
Yeah.
Orange
I
Cassidy
will
is like,
say,
put him in his hand, and Britt's like, "You're bleeding, Orange." You're bleeding.
I do,
You're
feel like
bleeding orange.
I do feel like we are lacking those iconic moments, like Jannetty through the barbershop window, or like we are missing those these days.
That's what then did right. More like I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of matches today are great, and they had great matches back then, obviously. But I feel like the thing that made that era so much better in the eyes of fans with nostalgia is they did moments.
Yeah,
Big
Again,
time.
they casted a wide net because there's a lot of dog shit stories that people try to forget, like the Undertaker hanging Stephanie McMahon on a crucifix, or like.
But that's the thing with nostalgia, man. That's the thing. Nostalgia is a tricky bitch. When you think of nostalgia, you only gravitate to those moments. You forget the 2-hour slog of Raw and all the shit in the middle. That all kind of goes away, and you just remember the big things.
And you remember it watching it as a 13-year-old
100%.
and not as a 38-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I was a 10. I'm a little younger than you. I was 10.
It rings true with everything in our life. If you think back to a sitcom you loved as a kid and you go and watch most of them today,
Yeah.
how the hell did I watch this? Like you said, go watch an episode of Raw from the Attitude Era and wonder how you watch it. It's going to be the same thing. I used to watch The Cosby Show as a kid. If I turn into that show now, I'm like, how the fuck did I ever watch this show? Or Family Ties. I want to shoot myself when I turn them on now.
When I watch the Cosby Show now, I'm like, I can't believe he was. Cosby was up to some fuckery.
Dr. Huxtable.
Yeah.
Tom's ready to get back to this. Tom's ready to go.
Tom's ready for Cosby back on TV.
Yep.
I think this question has a misleading term in it. If it brought a new boom period, I think we are in a boom period.
For sure.
It's not the boom period of 5-6 million viewers on cable TV. That's a different beast that will never be that way again. Cable TV is a different animal, the way we take in our product. But as far as like, to me, I don't see how anyone could argue we're not in a boom period. When you look at the amount of podcasts that are available, when you look at the amount of wrestling promotions that are successful, when you look at the amount of just internet coverage and rabid fan base and social media, like hands down, we're in a boom period. It's just a different kind of boom period.
Right.
So your viewers are about to see how big of a nerd I actually am. This is one of the things I talk about on my stream. Right now is the best time to be. It's because of the technology. It's the best time to be an anime fan, and it's the best time to be a wrestling fan because it's so much is accessible to you for so little. Like people complain about stuff being behind paywalls, but I remember spending $20 to $30 on Ring of Honor DVDs.
And dude, it's even better for us, like our age group.
Yep.
It's even better because
we got to see the transition.
And these podcasts. Like new wrestling fans, they don't give a shit about Bruce Pritchard talking about what happened in 1989, but we grew up watching that as kids, so we're loving that, but we're also loving the new wrestling stuff too.
Yeah.
Because Tom, hearing him talking about something in 1989 for Tom was 35 when that was going on.
I was 14.
So
14, all right?
It's good for him to look back on it as a grown man now.
Tom's like, I remember watching wrestling down on the boardwalk during the carnivals. The bearded lady singing the national anthem.
Somebody's fighting a bear. All right.
Oh man, I need to be careful.
Well, I mean, two things that we've learned from this debate. Tom wants to go back to shitty wrestling period with no, and Freemz is pumped that Eddie Guerrero died.
Go back and watch it.
Before we wrap up for the evening.
What is it?
You just covered it all. You just nailed it.
You nailed it all.
Wrapped it up. Yep. All right.
This drops on Monday, I think.
Yeah, Freemz has a birthday.
Yeah, I refer to it as my girth day, but
girth day.
So we brought somebody special on to sing happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
We keep Great Khali tucked in the closet, and anytime somebody's birthday, that's where he's at, guys. That's why he's not on WWE TV. He's at the Tavern.
Yeah, we have him hold up here at All Elite Farms.
Yeah, he's like our own little the guy from Goonies.
Yep.
I just really want to watch a program of Brock Lesnar week after week trying to power slam the Great Khali, and then at WrestleMania he finally gets it and leg drops him and pins him. I think that would be such a 5-star instant classic. Great story. Let's do it.
People would revolt.
Man, you're talking Tom's language there, man.
Here's the difference. Hogan and Andre had that friendship built up. Like, you believed they were true friends.
Yeah,
He was there pouring the champagne on his head when he beat the Iron Sheik. So that's why that story was years in the making.
Oh, the story was great.
We can make Brock and Great Khali do like a buddy movie for a year on Raw.
That's the thing, though. The story was great. All the Piper's Pits, but I don't think you could do a great story and have a payoff like that today.
I think you're right. I agree with that.
All right. Freemz, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, over twitch.tv/Freemz. I stream there Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m.
Nice.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's my favorite show to come on. Thank you.
All right, guys. That is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are going to the turnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, get your shit in, pal.
The OGC Kid on Twitter and Instagram. Fig Night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Man,
he's got it down pat.
He's robotic with it now. All right, guys. Court is dismissed.